What's up, y'all? Welcome back for another retro review. We have Falcon Crest Season 1, Episode 11. So listen, a couple of things went down in this episode that's going to set the scene for some upcoming situations, okay? So we start this episode off, we have, Angie and Lance out on a stroll. Lance is driving like he has lost his mind. He hitting them curves like they are at the Indy 5000, and he's trying to get Angela's goat, right? Angela ain't even breaking a sweat. Angela's sitting there like, child, please. I done been in faster. I done been in better. Like she was unimpressed. But she's paying attention. But she is not going to give him the satisfaction of being scared or acting scared. I think she asked him one time, you might want to slow down. But that was it. So they are going on a visit to visit Elizabeth Bradbury. Now, Elizabeth Bradbury is a woman. She's a paraplegic. She's in a wheelchair. And Angie said that she visits her once a week, and she told Lance, this is one of your duties. Like, if I ever decide to leave this earth, this is something that you're going to be responsible for picking up. This is a family obligation, is how she worded it. And Lance was just like, but why? And she was like, you don't need to understand why about everything. Just do it. So they go to visit her, and, she's talking about, oh, you remind me, telling Lance, you remind me so much of Jason. And he was like, oh, you know Jason? She said, oh, yeah. Once upon a time, we were really good friends. And, she has that whimsical look off to the side kind of thing. And so Angie hit Lance with Lance, you forgot to remind me that we had another appointment. Oh, yeah, that's right, grandmother. Let's go. So when they get ready to leave, honey, she walks over to the driver's side. Lance was like, where you going? She was like, oh, it's my turn. And baby, when I tell you that Angela was hitting them same curves with that same speed, scaring the hell out of Lance, okay? Now down to Chase's house, they done found a secret room. Come to find out, his dad had a little secret room that he used to keep to himself. He said he needed a quiet place to go. And Chase's wife was like, but the whole house belonged to him. I don't understand why he needed a separate room. But Gus was like, listen, your dad was a little special. He did things in his own little special way. He sometimes needed a place to go, a little room to himself. He needed some place to handle things. He said he used to write a little bit too until he started drinking a little too much, He said, and then one day he told me, seal up the room. So Chase wasn't even thinking about I'm sure he was curious about what was in the room, but he also was like, the room is in their bedroom. And he was like, hell, this is double the size of the master bedroom. And he basically asked Maggie, is it cool that we, go ahead and knock down the wall? What's she supposed to say? No. So, honey, they get to knocking down the wall. They finally get the wall open. Chase is obsessed. Like, he done worked through dinner. He got the kids helping him. It's midnight. They got school the next day, although y'all know they ain't going to school, y'all. They finally get the door open, and it is like a time capsule. Like, literally, he didn't pack up nothing. He didn't clean up nothing. Literally, he just woke up one day and was like, I don't want this room open no more. There were books that were open. There was papers on the floor. And they end up finding like an old, how black folk keep a family Bible? I don't think it's just a black folk thing, but how people keep a family Bible? It was sort of a family history that had been written. But mysteriously, there were some pages missing. And his father had written in the margins, when there was something that was written that he didn't agree with, he had written in the margins, and he was saying things like Queen Angela da-da-da-da-da this, and Angela da-da-da-da that. So clearly there was an issue. Him and Angela were not friends, were not getting along, okay? Now back up to Falcon Crest, to the main house. Angela and Lance. Angela is telling Lance that it is his obligation, because Angela is playing matchmaker, and this is important. He is trying to match. She's trying to set Lance up with the Angrettis. And, oh gosh, I can see her face now. Anyway, the daughter. And Lance is like, it was just on the tip of my tongue. I'm going to get it before this episode's over. Because I know it any other time. It's just, now I got to think about it. But anyway, he said, but I don't love her. I don't know her and I don't love her. She was like, listen, it doesn't matter. It is your obligation. That is part of your job as being, the next heir to this family. Like, sometimes you got to take one for the team. She said, so we're going to go ahead and hook it up. His daughter and you, we're going to hook the whole situation up. Because our two vineyards need to merge. Like, it'll be, epic for our two vineyards to merge. So, it's not Jessica. Oh, I can see the girl's face. The person who plays the character, because she gonna be around for a while. Even though in this episode, the person in this episode that's playing that role is not the young lady that ends up being the Angretti's daughter. But we'll get there. Melissa. Woo, I knew I was gonna get it. Melissa Angretti. So Lance gets upset. He gets in his little feelings, honey. He goes stomping out the house. And when he goes stomping out the house, he's riding through the valley, doing what he does, speeding around. And he ends up running into this young lady. Literally, he runs over her bike. And it actually wasn't his fault. He was sort of pushed into where her bike was. And of course, she was like, really, you just towed my bike up. And they have that moment. But then, he says, listen, I'll buy you another bike. I'm so sorry. She ends up leaving with him. Next thing you know, honey, because she lives in San Francisco. Next thing you know, Lance has been in San Francisco for a week. And Angela knows exactly where he is because, of course, Angela always knows. She knows exactly where he is. And she was like, he needs to bring his ass home before this dinner party I'm having tonight with Melissa and Grete and her daddy. Because he already know what the plan is. I guess her mind was, if he up there, she said he's spending a whole lot of money. But if he spent, if he's blowing off some steam, it is what it is. Because he already know that when he come back here, he already know what time it is. He gonna meet his future wife. Now, as they're going through these documents and they're reading more, Maggie and her curious nosy ass, they come across this newspaper article about a young lady who was a victim of a hit and run and became a paraplegic. Care to guess who that could be? Elizabeth, you say? The young lady from the beginning of the episode? Absolutely, it is her. And there seems to be some connection between her and Jason and this accident and, that whole situation. And at first, Chance and Maggie are thinking maybe he was the one in the car. He was the driver of the hit and run. But they're curious, And they find out that Angela, so let's talk to Angela about it. Maybe Angela can tell us who she is, But then they find out she's still alive. And they were like, well, hey, let's go straight to the horse's mouth. Ain't no need to just beating around the bush. It's going down there. So Chase and Maggie take their tails on down to go talk to Miss Elizabeth. And she lets them know, she was an accident and that the Andretti, now I'm getting all these names mixed up. Angela and her daddy basically took care of her medical bills and helped take care of her, and they pay her bills, and they've been really good to her. And, Chase was like, but why? And she was like, I don't know. Like, they just nice people. Shit, I don't know. And he asked about Jason. And basically the story is that her and Jason sounded like they might have been a little something, might have been a little bit of a couple. But then once she got into that accident, he sort of fell off. And of course she felt like he stopped, messing with her because she was a paraplegic. She said, and shortly after that, that's when he met your mom and fell in love. And you're like, oh man, Now, up in San Francisco, Lance fell in love with this woman. He want to get married. He want to live his best life. They up there bicycling and having picnics on the beach. And he tells her, he said, I love you. I want you to I want to be with you the rest of my life, but I need you to come and, come to Falcon Crest and meet my grandmother. Like, he was like, listen, I'm going to tell you, my grandmama, she a piece of work, but I love you. Don't worry about it. We just going to go up there. And he had a whole plan. He said, listen, I can work for the Falcon Crest company. I can still work with Falcon Crest. I can just work out of the San Francisco office. I'm going to move to San Francisco and be with my little boo thing. We're going to get married. We're going to live our best life. Sorry that your plan for me marrying Melissa ain't working out. But, I've done everything for you. I'm kind of moving ahead of myself, but this is sort of the speech he gave his grandmother. I've given you everything. I've done everything for you. All I want is this. Like, I'm still going to work for Falcon Crest. I'm still going to run Falcon Crest. Can I just have my wife? Can I just pick who the fuck I want to marry? Angela was like, yeah, that's not going to happen. And you know, as soon as Lance brought this young lady home, Angela wasn't feeling it. Angela wasn't feeling it. Angela ain't like it. And Angela did everything in her power to try to, you know, sabotage it, including, you know, cornering her down to the cellar, honey. And basically letting her know, like, nothing you do is ever really going to be good enough. Like, no. So they end up having the dinner party, honey. They have the dinner party. And, of course, you know, Lance can't take his eyes off of his girlfriend. And Mr. Andretti picks up on it. And, you know, they go through the whole night and all that good stuff. But Andretti ends up telling Angela, like, listen, Lance is in love. And I saw it. Like, it was written all over his face that he is in love with this woman. And I understand that you want to merge our businesses, but I won't do it at the sacrifice of my daughter. I won't do it at the expense of my daughter. Like, you know, it would be nice if they met each other and fell in love, but that does not look like it is their love story. And so, you know, Angela, I wish you the best. We'll figure something else out. You know Angela ain't here for it. She played that role. She was like, oh, yes, I understand. But, baby, in the back of her mind, she was fuming, and she was not here for it, okay? Now, through all of their poking and prodding, Maggie and Chase have figured out that their dad really did care about Elizabeth, but there was something that happened that he just couldn't get past, and he ended up shutting down and shutting her out. And it was an accident, but we found out it was the guilt from the accident because Chase ends up finding a note from his dad that said, Angela, it was Angela's fault or something. Angela and her deaf convertible. So what we find out, or what we infer, is that Angela was the hit and run driver. And the reason why Angela and her father have been so good to Elizabeth is because they're the ones that actually caused the accident. And I think it was the guilt that Jason felt from that situation is what led him to ultimately shut her out. Because what you gonna do? Snitch on your sister? As much as he hated his sister, well, I hate, but didn't like his sister, they didn't get along, I don't think he was gonna snitch on her, you know. Then we have Lance and his girlfriend, Lori, I believe. She ends up breaking up with Lance. She lets Lance know, listen, I love you, but I know you will never be able to be with me the way I need you to be with me because you are married to your grandmother and Falcon Crest child. I love you and I hope all is well, but it is just not meant to be. And she ends up breaking up with Lance, and, you know, Lance ends up going back home as usual, child. You know that's what he was going to do, is go back home. Angela doesn't admit that it was her in that car accident. You know, Angela, she ain't going to let him see her sweat. But you could tell it shook her up a little bit. And Lance, for the first time, I think Chase sort of felt like he might have a little something up on Miss Angela. You know, it ain't going to go nowhere, child. It ain't going to work out for you. She even insinuates that the reason why she got a couple of no good kids, that's like her retribution for what she did to Elizabeth. But she still never really comes right out and says it's me. But Chase knows it was her, and she know that Chase know. So then, you know, she plays this. She kind of throws it at Chase that he wasn't really a good son to Jason, and how, you know, if he really gave a damn and he really was all that, then he would have came back home and, you know, worked with his dad. So then she ends up playing this tape because I guess Jason, used to record himself having these conversations with Gus when he got drunk. She plays a recording of Chase's dad basically saying, you know, my son didn't even love me. Why did he never come back and come back to see me or come back and be with me? You know, he left and he never came back. And it sounded like Jason was angry at Chase, and he didn't, you know, he was angry with Chase or whatever. But of course, after Chase left, Angela played the rest of the tape, and the rest of the tape, Jason was saying, but I love him. You know, I love him so much. And I was like, Angela, you a dirty dog. Oh, she's so dirty. But anyway, y'all, it's getting good. Y'all, it's getting good. Because the next episode, baby, is so good. It's so good. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Peace.